Starting at the bottom right in red, we have the Zerg player for Team StarTale with a 1-0 lead here in this best of 3. It is
StarTale Life.
great performance in game number 1. Life, of course, he wants to take it with a 2-0 against his opponent to the top left for Samsung Khan in blue, the Terran player.
Samsung Khan Cop.
And Cop, you know, just not able to really get anything done. His build was awkward from the beginning because he was instantly scouted. And now he's going to do it again. But this time he's going to hide the barracks in his opponent's main base. It's maybe Reapers? I think it could be Reapers here.
I don't.
Well, he doesn't take a gas yet.
I think so. No, with the gas, like with the Reapers, there is no reason to build it right there.
Is he going to bunker push? Do you think? Just try to put a bunker on the edge of the creep? I don't think I've ever seen one barracks proxy like this in a matchup like this since Wings of Liberty beta.
Yeah, without the second barracks, it's a little bit weird. But you know what he? I mean, with the second barracks now at home, Life should realize that the timing is a little bit off. It depends on if he drone scouts or if the Overlord gets in time. But I feel that Life, this is easily being misread.
Yeah.
This is really easily being misread. If you scout and you see the barracks at your opponent, you're like, okay, this is weird. You're starting with the barracks right now, then you have to have gas in the main base. If you scout properly, you see there's no gas and you're like, okay, what is this? But scouting for this barracks, if you just go into the main base, is usually not going to happen. So right now, it's a little bit of an odd opening.
It's a pig baby opening, you know?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a pig baby opening. Everyone who watched the games on Tuesday and saw those matches knows exactly what we were talking about. But it can be nasty.
Yeah, and with the bunker here, the rest of his Marines, that if he can get them into the main base from his second barracks, are just going to come funnel right towards this bunker. Then he's going to bounce in and out until the spine crawlers are up for Life. Life not knowing about this, he's also mining gas. The gas is kind of useful, actually, though, for follow-ups if he can defend against this.
What you have in this situation is usually the need to get a spine crawler. That's what you want. And now the Marine's moving in and he's like, what? Where did you guys come from? That is odd. And now he sees it. Spine immediately being thrown down. But we have the second barracks at home, so even a run-by is not going to kill him right away here. Life needs to buy time, and that's what he's doing here. Even whittling away at the hit points of his opponent's units, but
really
he's losing a few of the drones, and that would have been a little bit better, but in general, he's doing a great job at buying him the time that he needs to get the spine crawler into the game.
He sends the weakened drones to the natural every time they sort of get low on hit points, so they're still mining, but they're not as much of a threat as the drones on the main base here are. Spine crawler is almost done. He just wants to buy a little bit more time for that. He needs to reroute it, otherwise his hatchery's going to be attacked. There's the Queen. That's really important too.
Queen takes down the first of the Marines, and the spine crawler is now moving in. The question really being, is the investment worth it here for Cop? And I don't really know. If you overcommit as a Zerg to your defense, then maybe. But in this position, I actually would say that this is not doing anything for Cop.
Yeah, I mean, he killed only 2 harvesters, that's it. And the natural, yeah, it's a little bit exposed here. But this barracks is now a little bit useless.
You force the spine crawler, you force Lings out there, so you force something, but you delay your own command center by a lot because you build the second barracks at home as well. Then you go into the command center, you have the double gas there too. So at the natural, yeah, the Marines might be able to do a little bit more, but the Zerglings are already in and take down, oops, the last Marine. That was a little bit awkward, but still. I'm not quite sure if that really did a whole lot for Cop.
The one reason why Life can't just kill him right now with the Baneling Nest is this barracks, because the barracks is going to see the Baneling Nest if he makes it, so he can't do that. It's too predictable. And I think that's the reason why we see Cop going to double CC, because he's like, well, you make the Baneling Nest, then fine, I'll actually just make bunkers and hold.
I would not be surprised with just 0 tourney. Because, well, he scouted a lot, Life that is, with the Zerglings here at the front, and he sees that this is basically like a standard game with the addition of that weird barracks in his main base. But he could, with the delay that we have here, he could just go for it, and he's already mining gas again.
Yeah, I think he's going to do something aggressive here. He could even just go for a similar Mutalisk opening and transition into Lair, but the aggression seems more likely. It's just really hard for him to hide what's going on while this barracks is here, and he has to make sure that he's constantly attacking it and hitting his injects, so the Queen's not always able to constantly hit that. He also doesn't know that there's a third command center. He does not know. He can, you know, he could guess that, but that's kind of one of those risky guesses to make.
He's going for a very, very fast Lair here.
Yeah, I think he might just go into the Mutalisk again.
He's ahead either way.
Yeah.
Like, he's significantly ahead. He could have tried to be like overly aggressive and go in. I would have actually not faulted him at all for getting a roach run here and just trying to move through. And I think that would have had a good chance of being successful. But he's going for a more standard like play here, and he has been spotted. That much is true, but it's very difficult for Cop to come back into this game. Like, Life is such a significant lead. He's trying to block that. Well, that base is not going to be blocked even if the barracks escapes for now, which is not the case because it's going to burn down eventually.
Baneling Nest. Speed Banes, maybe. Could just be Bane Muta.
I think he's going to go for Ling Muta Baneling once again. Just trying to get those realists out. The one danger or the one problem that you have if you are really going into this way too early, it's a little bit risky for you to just go in and get no defense whatsoever. So you want to be safe in case the Terran player just mans up a huge attack at home and moves in.
What if he has like a three barracks and double factory Hellion build coming out? Since you can't scout, you don't know. And so this is really important for him to see. There is, meanwhile, a Viking killing you over on the left side of the map, and a second Viking is being produced as well, so he's going to be able to clear up a lot of Life's Overlords.
A Spire on the way, and it looks like Cop is really just trying to go through with his normal build, minus the proxy barracks that we had, going again into a Hellbat drop.
Yeah. There are this time... Queen says he has still 4. That's 1 more than he had before. He also still has the spine and 2 additional spines going down, so his defense is going to be a lot better set up. Even though last game his defense was good just by virtue of his micro.
Third base now coming up. Both of them are being at 66 supply here, but the tech definitely better for Zerg. And we have the Spine Crawler now being completed, so he can get the Mutalisks out. For him, it's still a very normal timing. He's at the 10-minute mark and getting the Mutalisks out. Usually they're at the opponent's main base at roughly 11 minutes. It's a little bit off, but not by too much. And for Cop, this must be a bit annoying. Yes, he has the extra CC, but he can't use it just yet. He's trying to, apparently.
He's going to try to use it really early, yeah, apparently. He also has a lot of Widow Mines out, so if Life flies wrong with his mutas, he could take some damage to that. Just like my ears just took damage.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not quite sure if you guys heard that.
Oh, look at this counter. He made a Thor. Did he scout the Spire?
Here goes for double additional factories. He wants to go into a mech composition, and apparently he wants to go for Thors, I would say with added Hellbats.
That's his first...
Since he doesn't drop.
Yeah, that's his first time seeing the Spire, by the way. He might just try to pull some SCVs and be aggressive with Thor Hellbat. The Hellbats are there, of course, to tank against anything on the ground, and then the Thors try to be the anti-air cannons here, because he knows at this time in the game, the Mutalisks count can be relatively low enough to where a few Thors and maybe a Widowmine or 2 might just push them back.
This is going to be really, really interesting and a little bit funny. There's no way that Cobb is moving out now. That's just not going to happen, because he doesn't have enough. He cannot really make that work. And especially with Life having those Mutalisks there, he's going to scout very soon what's going on. But Life would like to drop at least a Roach Roar now. When he sees that there is more than only one Thor, if you see the mech that is really a mech transition, you want to have that Roach Warren. So... Or you want to go into, you can also go straight into the Infestation Pit and try to get your Swarm Hosts out, which is like the perfect counter against mech. But at this point, he doesn't really know. He saw one Thor and he's like, well, you might have just gotten that because you realized I'm going Muta.
Yeah. Well, he'll find out pretty soon. Siege Tank's also being built here.
There's the Roach Warren.
Thanks to the Roach Warren. He knows it's a possibility no matter what. And, you know, a Roach Warren only costs 150 minerals, so it's not gonna hurt you, set you back too much if you then go and see, oh, he's actually going bio. Here come the Mutas. I'm gonna try to sneak into the main base.
Once he realizes what's going on, I would be very surprised to not see an Infestation Pit. That's the usual response that you have. Most Zerg players will counter this build with Swarm Hosts. It's a great counter.
Yeah, it abuses the fact that mech is really immobile, and it keeps you caught up in your base.
Exactly, and mech is also very slow, so you will always take damage against those locusts.
Yeah, Hellbats do well against locusts, but they still don't take damage, and eventually you lose them, and then you're in a very awkward position.
Roaches are fine, but the problem for him, siege tanks, this composition, mech gets so much, roaches get so much more ineffective against mech the more siege tanks you have. Then of course it's very positional, are the siege tanks sieged up, and look what we have, Infestation Pit on the production tab. He realized now what's happening here, and he's like, okay, well, I need Swarm Hosts against this.
Yeah, maybe he just wants to have some roaches out in case there is a push. I mean, a push, like you said, is very unlikely because it doesn't have that overwhelming amount of units just yet, but Every now and then someone will push out early with some SCVs for repairs.
We're getting there. I mean, for Cop, we're actually getting there. So for Life, he has to... nice, catches the Medivac here. The afterburners are on, but he can take it down either way. But yeah, we're getting to the point where there is actually an army that Cop could move out with. But he wants to have that third base for a little bit longer. Main base so far with the defense is good. Infestation pit is done. Should see the Swarm Horse, at least the Enduring Locust upgrade in a second.
Really nice drop defense here by Life.
Oh, he goes into... He goes into a Hive. He wants to get the Vipers out for the Blinding Cloud.
Yeah, also the abducts can be quite good on siege tanks.
The only reason why I'm a little bit surprised to see this is that this will, you know, you need a lot more time to get that out. So he apparently is not afraid at all of this army at this point. He's like, yeah, you're not going to move out anytime soon. I can get those units out. I can get the Vipers. I would really have thought that he would try to invest into Swarm Horses first, so that he is in a position where he can, like, meet an attack head on. But apparently he is not afraid at all of this. Vipers are of course a great choice against Mech 2. They just take a lot longer to get them out onto the map so that you're a little bit vulnerable for longer.
Yeah. One Infestor on the way. That's can be useful for a few things, but it may have also just been a mistake. Hydralisk then too. So Viper's Blinding Cloud works excellently against the Siege Tank, especially in conjunction with Roaches and Hydras. Also grabbing Thors here and there, pulling them into the Roaches.
Into the Hydras now that have already the superior range is of course also great. And what Life does now, he delays his opponent. He sees him moving across the map and he just moves in with the Mutalisks, with those Roaches, and he tells them you have to move back. But Cobb doesn't even think about it. Cobb is moving in. The Vipers are already on the production tab and being built. But this is the position where a couple of Swarm Hosts will help you a lot. He has to try to get those Vipers out and save them up to the point where they are being useful.
Yeah, this is really scary right now. The army is walking up his ramp, still staying in tank mode because he doesn't really have any Roaches to deal with back at home.
He needs to rally those Vipers away. If those Vipers try to fly over the mech army, they will be gone in a second. That's something they can't afford. I think the first one is already down.
Yep, that siege tank getting isolated does not... Well, he will pick it off. At what cost though? Losing a few Roaches.
Yeah, losing too many. That's the problem with the waypoint that he has there. And he's losing quite a bit, but he's getting bases all over the map, and that's exactly what he needs to do. The Vipers are already in consume mode, trying to get the energy up, and Life is doing a really decent job at destroying stuff in the main base. So if it comes down to army versus army, Life actually has a really decent position with all those Vipers. He just has to make sure that they are not going down.
Don't forget, he also has the most mobile army as well, so he can kind of run circles around Cop, hide hatcheries, extractors, and just try to eventually wipe him out, because he also has the views to wipe out flying buildings too.
Yeah, Life takes the lead in supply. He has the better economy.
Blinding Cloud?
There it is, and trying to kill a couple of additional units. He loses one of the Vipers though. The second one also goes down. Those Vikings having a lot of fun here.
Yeah, the Blinding Cloud is always cool to use, but only when you actually use it with units. You just kind of blinded the units that never attacked. Mules being dropped here for repair.
Yeah, getting them for repair. These are not mana mules, guys.
Yeah, this game is nowhere close to being over just yet. Roaches coming down. Needs to micro those.
He gets most of the... Well, the main base is nearly demolished, but there is still a mining base for Cobb at the bottom left. Life is trying to rebuild his his Roach War and try to get units out. The problem for him really being that we still have production for Cobb, and he also has a lot of mining going on, whereas Life is starting to run out a bit of patches on bases where he can harvest.
He's also losing a lot of his units while they spawn because they're not all together. The mech army is together and strong, and the Zerg army needs to either hit it with flanks or also be all together. A few Hydras popping out, walking past Thors, and just going to get obliterated. And this planetary here, I really like it for top because that planetary is the biggest problem that stands between Life and taking this game, because that's the mining base. There's a huge wall of factories as well for top going down here. Life has the supply lead, but I would definitely give Cop an advantage in this game.
This is a really awkward game now, and this is exactly the reason why I said earlier that I expected to see Swarm Hosts, at least a few. Then you can still transition into Hive and get your Vipers out, but at least you have the safety that you need. And the timing that Cop here was just before Vipers were a problem for him. They were an issue. The run-by attempt by Life was good. He tried to just signal to his opponent, you have to move back. If you don't move back, you're gonna lose stuff. But Cop just looked at the game and was like, you can't face my army. I can take down what you have at the bottom right, and I should be able to save at least my natural, and if not that, then the third base, and that's what's happening here right now. He established himself the base again. Life cannot fight this.
Well, he's got a strong army here.
No,
some of those mech units a little bit low. He has a lot of Hydras here. Maybe this is his moment. This is going to be so close.
There are no siege tanks left, and without the siege tanks, he actually can.
Targets Thor. Nice. Still losing a lot here. Look at how the supply goes. That was pretty cool.
That was a really, really good move here. Yeah, with the siege tanks, he actually had enough to pull through. But still, look at the resources that we have for Cop. This game is not over by any means.
Yeah, I think actually that trade for life was not worth it. Because he killed some of the army, but there's production here big time for Cop. Life is remaking a lair and he's making nothing.
Yeah, resources lost are very similar in this case. We have, of course, a good position for Life in the long run with those 2 extra bases that he built that he's currently starting to saturate. But in terms of tech, he's far behind. And now we have siege tanks being rebuilt. We have a couple of medivacs coming in. Additional drops with Hellbats could be one of the things that we are going to see very soon. And Life is spread out very thin.
Yeah, Life has the better economy, Cop has the better production. That's the simplest way to describe this game. Life wants to get a position on top of that high ground to hit some of the SCVs, but with Widow Mines up there, he gets scared and pulls back instead.
This is all about having time now. Life will win the game given time, but Cop, if he doesn't give him this time, will take a more significant lead. He doesn't know about one of the bases though, so he can't really drop into the mineral line. If he draws Life out thin, you know, what does Life have currently? We look at the game and we currently see, okay, there's basically only a Roach Hydra combination. Biggest weakness of Roach Hydra is you are very vulnerable against drop play. So if the second base is scouted and then Cop moves in with drops in both bases, he can completely exploit that advantage that he has and that weakness of Life.
He also, Life has a lot of overlords on the map that can be a double-edged sword because he has vision over everything, but at the same time, this one Viking is going to be very uncontested because there's no anti-air. He doesn't have use anymore, and the Viking can just kind of go in and pick off all these overlords. Then Life is going to be in trouble because he's going to lose more production time. Well, right now, he's making 10 drones, his hive is already being restarted, and is Cop giving him too much time here? That's the question, because right now, you know, the economy advantage is in Life's favor, and Cop just can't sit back and let this happen. If he does, Life's definitely going to take the game.
Yeah, the hive tick has already been started here, but we need to see more drop play. He's moving out now with SCVs to repair. He has quite a lot of SCVs still on them, so he has a good saturation. But this base is something that with all the SCVs and the added support, he can't take out. I felt we had to drop to the top right that we didn't really have on screen, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know, but he needs to move these drones away from this base. Oh no, these Widow Mine shots!
Oh, great shot. Gets a really good shot off, but that base is gone. And this is a very dangerous army to face. The army supply is currently a little bit better for Cop.
Yeah. Life is trying to break through and hit the production, but I don't know. I think he may want to keep his army together because Cop's army may just obliterate everything he owns, and he needs to pull those drones away. Really quick pull there. He needs to target the medevac first.
Yeah, he's trying to pull that off right now.
There he goes.
Creep spread, of course, gives Life a bit of an advantage when he comes down to the map control and especially the awareness. He sees what's happening. But Life has now 5 Vipers on the production tab, and with those Vipers suddenly things are going to change rapidly.
He's continuing to take out production facilities here, killing the depots, also those tech labs.
Well, Life didn't win just yet, so but yeah, we were a little bit too overzealous here on the production. He still needs a little bit longer. This could still end in Cop's favor, but Life is definitely taking a little bit of a lead. That much is true. But Cop is taking down this base at the top right. Life is retreating. He wants to have a little bit more time, but this means that he has only 1 mining base left.
Yeah. This is such a close game. But Life's production is totally lacking right now. He's losing harvesters. Every Hellbat he kills is a small victory, but not if he loses that many drones for it. No pull here.
As he only has 1 base, it doesn't matter since he will have the perfect saturation for this base. But yeah, he needs to have a little bit more than that in the long run. And Cop is doing a decent job with taking down a lot of the stuff here, and immediately we move in. Here come those Widow Mines trying to get their shots off the Vipers with the pull. The abduct is good, pulling everything in the range of the Hydralisk on the roads, and it looks like Life might have been done it.
Yeah, looks like he may have. He isolated that force, he pulled even the Widow Mines. Pulling the Widow Mines is actually a bigger deal than you think. And
you pull them out of the ground.
Yeah,
they can't shoot anymore.
Yeah, you pull them up in the air. They can't burrow. You know, if they're already burrowed, they can't shoot anymore. And Cop now, half of Life supply is still stuck on that base. He's mining a little bit as natural, but that's just borrowed time. And Life not going to give him any more time moving in here.
Cop waited too long. He needed to attack a bit earlier to be more aggressive. Life, given time, was able to get his army up, and Cop could have exploited his drops with the Hellbats, and it just didn't happen for him. Here comes another abduct. The siege tank is gone. The Hellbats at the front obliterated.
GG. Life takes the 2-0.
Yeah, it was a little bit of an awkward game, but Life takes it. I feel that he could have had a bit of an easier win there. But the match goes to live, and with the 2-0, the StarTale Zerg advances to the second round of the tournament.
Just goes to show that Mech is still a very strong and good composition in Heart of the Swarm. Even though we see it very rarely, it can be threatening, especially in certain scenarios. Life handled it well. The Swarm host would have been a lot safer for him, but at the end of the day, the Vipers won out the game for him.
Yeah. Life, the Vipers took it for him. The time that he needed to go into the Hive Tech, that's something that Cop gave him. And Life takes it with a 2-0. So 2 quick best-of-3 series that we had today so far.
Yeah, you know, at least as far as it goes with 2-0s, especially the first set, kind of a longer game with Seed there, but, well, we have Life getting through. He did not drop out. A lot of people worried this guy might drop out against, you know, this Kessa player who's not as well known, but he's still here. He's stuck with it. He's in, and now he has a shot at the Premier League at the very least in the up and downs.
Yeah, it's still very interesting builds that we had by Cop. I'm still pondering a little bit about if that barracks in the main base was really worth it in the end.
I think part of it comes down to Life's good micro. You know, against a lesser Zerg, maybe that could have been definitely worth it.
Definitely, yeah. That is so true. Like, Life played this very well. I mean, I feel that if you play a Zerg player that is not as experienced facing builds like this, he will probably panic a little bit and overcommit. That didn't happen for Life, and I feel from that point on, Life had a lead. The decision to go straight into Hive, maybe something where you can argue he could have gotten a few Swarm hosts out first. That would have helped him a lot. But as it is, he wins the game in the end. So who am I to argue? 2-0 victory, very convincing here for Life, at least on paper. And he moves on to the second round of the tournament, of the Challenger League.
Yeah, and up next we're going to have Jockji, you know, a similar situation to Seed, a one-hit wonder, if you will, going up against Trust in a Terran versus Protoss. So we're going to have that after a quick break.
Yeah, we'll see you in 5 minutes, guys, with the next game here, the WCS Challenger League in Korea. Stay tuned.